Look, I had an Atari from Gradient, one of the brands that cloned it. Man.
Itself by saying that only its product was the original.
Certain games look
the
like they could have been
official
fun,
Atari
but
product.
not Double Dragon.
Atari video game, the enemy everyone wants to have, the Atari of Atari. But there's a problem. The Atari was already a console from 1977, and by the end of the 80s, the Nintendo Entertainment System, the famous NES, was shining in the world. Gradiente, which distributed Atari via Pollux, tried to negotiate with Nintendo.
There you go, Gradiente. That's what you're saying,
Adele.
Fuck, man, this is so interesting. All right, fun fact. Gradiente. Brazil. Gradiente trademarked the word iPhone in 2000, and its legal dispute with Apple is still going. Wow. Well, if they had trademarked it, they should have obviously just won. I mean, how is there any debate? They trademarked it before Apple. Hello? Sorry, Apple, I'm no lawyer, but if I was in Brazil, that's hand over fist win, Brazil. Yeah, but it's big money versus small money. Well, yeah, but I mean, fuck, okay. But they, on paper, they lost. I don't think it can be big money versus small money. If we just go, let's debate facts, Apple, you're fucked. End of story. I have an iPhone, like the next man, right? Now, that being said, also, this makes a really good image. Again, I think I've mentioned it only once, maybe yesterday or a couple of times. You guys should have this as your background image, though, right? Because then you can always give Pam a prayer during the day. You know, I mean, it's mine background, and I think everybody should have it as their background. I'm just saying. Feel free to make a post on the Facebook wall or whatever that you've done it too. I mean, we can all have fun with it, right? We can all have fun with it.
Strategy as its competitors. It bought the NES, reverse engineered it, and launched the iconic Phantom system, an extremely curious clone because it had the casing of an Atari.
I mean, the controller looks kind of cool.
In controllers.
But I mean, the controller is better in terms of comfort design because fuck Nintendo, where they made that square ass bullshit where it would really dig into your hand after a while.
Inspired by the Mega Drive, a true Frankenstein, it was so successful that it opened the doors for a second wave of clones in Brazil. Even before the police station.
Control. I agree. Yes.
We had the Top Game, Turbo Game, Division 2 and 3.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to assume that everybody that's in here does know, between, God, I miss the whole Sega versus Nintendo thing, man. Well, that's probably still going in Brazil. Sega, Sega Control versus Nintendo Control, right? So, the control. I had the Dynavision. Oh, dude. Okay, well, I have to look that up. Hang on. So, this is like your see? Okay. That's your Sega. Like Genesis, I think, and it came out before, I think, Super Nintendo. So, I mean, they were a bit ahead, all right? Sega Genesis. This is, sorry, I know you're not used to seeing this, Adele, but this is the actual official stuff. Right? Do you see what we're seeing here? Yeah, it was called Mega Drive. That's right. It was called Mega Drive where we were. This is Genesis is in the US. It was called Mega Drive where because you and I are the same. We're in PAL. Well, see, Mega Drive. Mega Drive's fucking cool too. I think it's better than Genesis. Mega Drive, but that's the controls in comparison anyway. Sega versus Nintendo. Super Nintendo was by far, I think, the most comfortable. We're pals, pal. That's right. We're pals. Look at the graphic power that Pam was playing with, huh? Wow. It's got too much. Pam's system has too much power.
Bit system, and many others here. All this was the result of a combination.
Sorry. When I've got content that I've got to create for things, it's important that we all do it together.
All this created a scenario where, most of the time, Sega consoles were more expensive than the Famiclones. Ultimately, at Tech Toy
Famiclones,
everything
that's
was
a good-
regulated, so they had to pay taxes, royalties, etc. However, manufacturers of
fuck?
clone
Look at that,
consoles
though.
didn't have to royalties
Look at this. Is that the thing that goes on the internet over there? My God, look at that thing. That's chunky as shit.
etc.
Chunky
However,
as shit.
manufacturers of clone consoles didn't have to deal with copyrights or anything like that, which left their products in a gray area since they were abusing Nintendo's copyrights.
Gradian.
In theory, it wasn't illegal, because the products fell within Brazilian law and Nintendo couldn't do anything because it didn't have a
Dude, it's so good. Like, that, considering that Nintendo is the sue company of the century, sue litigator masters, Nintendo, litigate central, and they could not sue Brazil. Like,
official representation in Brazil.
I still don't
But
get
would it let
how
this whole
it's a
free-for-all
loophole.
go unpunished? After the impact caused by the Phantom system and the numerous NES clones, Nintendo realized that Brazil was a great potential country for the world of games. That's when they called Gradiente to negotiate, and the result was a partnership between
Oh, what a fucking win for Brazil, right? Like, they had to call the clone company to get in on the monies and make a deal. Wow.
Gradiente and Estrella, forming Playtronic in 1993, responsible for Nintendo's
Unbelievable.
official representation in Brazil. According to the agreement, Gradiente should have ceased production of the Phantom system, something that didn't entirely happen, okay? But it paved the way for the Super Nintendo, the Game Boy, and even the NES itself to be manufactured in the Manaus Free Trade.
PAL is still better. PAL is still better. Oh, yeah. VHS. Look. Deliberate, by the way, and I guess you guys know all that lore probably. I'm going to guess that you're all gamers. Grew up with Nintendo. They deliberately did it like a VCR so it would be appealing to the family console area at the time. This is a shitter version of the most supreme system of all time. This one. And we all know that, and we all think that way.
Zone. And here's an
Only
interesting
Pam
fact.
likes it better.
Brazil became the
Brazil was too much for Nintendo's lawyers. Amazing, dude. That Brazil was too much. So much so that they probably tried to sue and then they came crawling back to Brazil and then just fucking had to make a deal.
only country outside of Japan
Hey
to
guys, can we make a
officially
deal?
produce these consoles. This was all because Piracy created a market that didn't exist here, and Nintendo was
And there's
forced
the
to
benefit.
start paying attention to us. Now, with Nintendo finally operating officially, Brazil became another battleground for 90s consoles, alongside Sega, which also had a strong presence thanks to Tectoy.
Meganet.
And to make up for the delay caused by decades of clones, Nintendo officially launched the NES here in 1993 along with the Super Nintendo. But the
Nice. Okay, good that you got those two kind of, like, because the Super Nintendo came out a couple of years before that. We got it back in 1991. Oh my God, dude. What a time to be alive. That's the best age when you are, 991, I was, 7, right? 7? Yeah, 7. And opening that console at Christmas, and seeing that that's what I got. Oh my God, dude.
reception was lukewarm. First, because clones
Mind
already dominated
blown.
the market, and nobody was going to trade a Division or a Phantom for an NES, which was much more expensive. Second, because in 1993 the NES was already seen as outdated. After all, the
Yeah.
Super Nintendo and the Mega Drive were already competing for players' attention. Even so, piracy didn't
So
disappear.
you're saying, and he said that Brazil was the only country to be permitted by Nintendo to produce. Oh, really? Oh, shit. Sorry, I did miss that part. Outside of Japan. Yeah, right. Okay, how interesting. So, what about in the Okay, so not even the US at that time were permitted. Was all of the developed consoles done over
in
in
the
Japan?
16-bit era.
How
Hacks
interesting.
emerged that are still part of Brazilian folklore today, such as the legendary Sonic 4, which was a modification of the Speedy Gonzales game, and also Ronaldinho Soccer 97.
I bet this was
Soccer
popular. I bet this was popular. No, it was either Japan or in Brazil. How interesting, dude. Manufacturing, there you go. Manufacturing of the consoles could only be done legally in Japan and Brazil. That's all I wanted to do. I had enough of this.
Thousands, the reality was different. PC games came on floppy disks, CDs,
Yes,
and DVDs.
Doom, man.
And just like with consoles, the first forms of piracy soon
Like, it's
emerged,
for everything.
which were
Okay, so
cracks
like
that altered
with current players in the teams of today update. It's
game files
amazing
to
that they still
bypass
put it-
verification.
Fucking thank God for mods, dude. Like modders are just awesome. Like they really are. They're the ones that put the effort to go through. Like when we're playing Resident Evil Code Veronica right now, it's got HD. I don't care that if AI's done majority of the work. Who cares? Someone has fed it or wanted to put it through and make the graphics nicer, or they've gone and changed every background. Love modders. Love them. PlayStation should utilize them on their network, for God's sake.
With the internet becoming more
Dude, this is a great game. Dude, what a great game. Diablo. Or Diablo, some people might call it, but it's Diablo. Diablo. One of these games, I love this game on PC. I remember playing it, I bought it, didn't know a thing about it. Got it in like 1995 when it came out because I loved the artwork of at the time, the PC. Hang on. I want to have there it is. Diablo 1. That was it. That was it. It was a box like that. Diablo. That was the box that I had. Fucking awesome, man. Such a fun game. And Pam had this. Good on Pam, right? Yeah, at least we had this.
popular, many people resorted to Merc to find download links. And with the arrival of broadband, torrents accelerated this process even further. Emulators also exploded during this time, allowing anyone to play titles from various old consoles without ever having touched the original console. For many Brazilians, this is how entire great franchises were discovered. Many people became fans of Pokémon by playing on PC, and years later, when they had a job, they could invest in the original game, buying the 3DS cartridge or the Nintendo Switch version now. But the 2000s also marked the era of internet cafes, which became a meeting point for playing Counter-Strike, the famous CS 1.6, one of the craziest games of the period. It was very common to search for CS 1.6 on Steam. I myself had no idea what the Steam version was, but I knew that was the version I had to download. Later I found out why the original version was on Steam, then everything made sense, and the effort it took to find a version with working bots was intense. And around the same time we had the famous CS Rio, a scenario inspired by the favelas of Rio de Janeiro, which was even banned in Brazil. That's crazy, but it became a craze. There was no way around it. Another success during this period was World of Warcraft, which you surely tried to install at home using those somewhat suspicious tutorials on the internet, searching for alternative private servers so you could have fun without paying a monthly fee. This combination of internet cafes and the internet created its own ecosystem. Forums, groups, friendships, game sharing, and a wealth of knowledge. It ended up forming an entire generation that later entered the fields of IT, programming, and
internet cafes were fun to kind of go to, but they were and they still are such dirty, kind of sweat-festy, slimy places to go. Whenever you, you just have to accept when you load up and you sit down, you've got the keyboard and the mouse, you can just feel this shiny sort of sliminess of other people's other slime stuff. Oh. But then you just accept it. You just go, I've got to do this. I've got to do this. I've got to do this. Yeah. And why do every one of those fucking buildings have no ventilation, man? Really? It's a bunch of guys. A bunch of teen boys in a room with poor ventilation. Why? What? And every one of them had poor ventilation. That's such a terrible combination.